I think adding things on the catalog that no one is buying is actually helping anybody. So we need to make sure that there's this connection with the demand and that we are going to be adding things that are relevant for customers, right? As you know, today we reject, I think it's between 70 and 80% of the activities we get. So when we say curation, it's a lot of curation. Right?
So that's a super important topic then for operators. So if you reject that many, what are some of the obvious things that lead you to reject an operator? Things that could be helpful for operators to know when they're applying to list on Civitatis.
Sometimes many of the things that we reject is because we don't think it's a good way of discovering a location, and we don't think it's something that is relevant or for getting to know that destination. So I think it's probably something that is different on Civitatis. If you go to Tokyo, right, and you have a operator which is offering you an amazing Spanish ham experience, right? Because it's in Japan, they love ham, and there's something that is trendy for Japanese, and they have this Spanish ham shops and so on, and they receive, or even flamenco, right? Does it make sense for Civitatis to sell flamenco in Tokyo? Right.
Okay.
Are you going to learn about Tokyo by going to a flamenco show in No, we reject that because we don't think that's going to make your trip richer. And again, at the end, what we care about is that when you go visit a destination, we offer you, hey, this is what you need to see, right? These are the things that you need to see to make this a memorable experience. And of course, this is different depending on the type of traveler. We have a type of traveler is going to be looking for culture. Sometimes travelers are going to be looking for adventure, for fun. And for sure, we need to make sure that we cater for those different type of travelers, but always trying to have a connection that makes sense, right? If you go to Tokyo and I'm telling you, hey, the best thing you can do here is the flamenco show, I'm not being true to my Civitatis promise of curation, right? So that's one reason, making sure that it makes sense. Oftentimes also we reject because we already have that product, right? If you come to us and you tell us, hey, I'm going to give you another Colosseum tour, right? We already have a lot of curation for the Colosseum tour. I don't want more. Maybe at some point we'll add operators if the demand needs it. But otherwise, I don't need another Colosseum tour. I don't want to go to this. I think you said a few hundred on another platforms. We don't want to get there. That's an easy way of making your catalog bigger, but it's not going to be better for our buyers. And neither for the operators at the end, because we are going to be diluting the demand as well. To close to your point on this tension that you were describing, I think making that isn't helping anyone.
Well, let me turn the question around and ask it: what makes a operator successful on Civitatis? Are there things that you specifically look for or want to see when you're building your product catalogs, your curated catalogs, and
so living besides this cultural fit and what I just explained, I think operators that crush it in our platform excel at two things, right? One is operational excellence. I think that, okay, they are punctual, they're reliable, they have clear communication with the customer, they have that cultural sensitivity. I think they really go the extra mile to understand the nuances of Spanish, Portuguese, Spanish speaking traveler. This is easy on Spanish market, but when you try to do that in Tokyo, sometimes it's not that easy, right?
Yeah.
It's not really enough to translate text. We really want them to tailor the experience, right? If possible.
So Spanish, so tours, for example, run kind of natively in Spanish is a baseline requirement.
It's something we highly demand, yes.
Yeah.
It's not always possible that it's a native guy or woman from Salamanca doing the tour from whatever. But the fact that it's not going to be one of these tours where you go and you have the guide talking 3 languages on the same tour, we don't want that. We want our tours to be done in one language uniquely, at least on that session. It doesn't mean that the tour needs to be doing tours in Spanish only. Of course, we can have one session, 1 hour, one slot on one language, but we don't want to have this dual experience, right? In January, I went with my wife to Japan. I wasn't even working on Civitatis yet. I was visiting my team in Tokyo, actually. And we took a tour with a company there. I will not going to name the company. and we went to see Mount Fuji. And I booked a tour in Spanish. And it was super annoying to see that, and I can speak English, my wife can speak English, so I wouldn't mind having had a tour in English. It would have been fine for me. But I said, okay, I'm going to get a tour in Spanish. And we had a Chinese guide in Tokyo that was talking in Chinese, English, and trying to talk Spanish. it was impossible, completely impossible to understand her in Spanish. And for me, that was catching the English part. It was okay, right? But if my mother was on that tour, she would have been completely lost. She wouldn't have not understood anything at all.
Mm.
And many of our customers can be like that. We have many customers that are afraid of traveling because of the language. Yesterday, I was reading a report, and it was from Brazil Market Research, and it was explaining that there's 33 million of Brazilian people that have enough money to travel abroad, but they're scared to travel abroad because of the language.
Mm.
So that connection is important. Is very important for us.
Mm.